Alabama heads to Tennessee and Texas hosts Georgia. The slate of SEC games is ridiculous. It's time to get the squad together.
From Alabama to Tennessee, from Georgia to Oklahoma, from Auburn to Texas, it's the local experts of the Locked On Podcast Network bringing you scoops, breakdowns, and the most comprehensive preview of the upcoming SEC weekend. It's the SEC squad, and we have a seat for you. Hurt feelings and thin skin are prohibited. Squad up. You're part of the SEC squad.
Yes, this is the SEC squad. Sit back, grab your favorite beverage, and join us as we get ready for another wild week of SEC action. I'm Zach Blackerby, the host of Locked On Auburn. For some reason, I'm driving this week. I don't know why. Brandon Olson of Locked On Gators, John Miller of Locked On Mizzou, Jonathan Davis of Locked On Longhorns, Clint Shamblin of Locked On Bulldogs, and Corey Burton of Locked On Vandy. Jonathan Davis, give us a prediction about the Texas Longhorns this weekend, and also just take a victory lap if you want to because of the Red River rivalry.
I mean, yeah, I told y'all boys that game wasn't going to be close, and I'm glad that Jay or John didn't show up because they should be embarrassed, and they really don't even feel like an SEC team at this point. You know, I said that last year it was 34-30. A couple go-ahead drives in the last minute. I said this game would be decided by the fourth quarter. Boys, was this game decided by the fourth quarter?
I'd say so.
It definitely was. So Texas looks SEC ready. Oklahoma looks the opposite. But, speaking about this game on Saturday, this Georgia defense, right? I mean, this used to be a historical defense. It's looking pretty vulnerable. I mean, did I see a true freshman throw for 300 yards against Georgia last Saturday?
Wow.
Did I see that? And so, you look at it, this defense for Georgia has been giving up a lot of points, a lot of yards, man. I'm thinking Texas this Saturday night in DKR puts up 40 on Kirby Smart's defense en route to victory.
Clint Shamblin, Locked On Bulldogs. What say you?
It's really easy to say that when Texas ain't played nobody, and they ain't played nobody. Not at all. Not a single person.
Not even Oklahoma.
Not even Oklahoma. Y'all ain't seen a defense like us. Y'all ain't seen an offense like us. If you want to go 40, we'll go toe-to-toe. Because Carson Beck went into T-Town and said, let's put it on my shoulders. Had the lead with 2.5 left. We're not scared of the defense at all. You guys can stop the run. Good news, we can't run. So we're going to pass the ball 48 times like Carson Beck been doing all year long. Ain't going to be 40. Carson Beck plays up to these games. Kirby Smart plays up. This defense has been susceptible. We spotted him 14 points on 2 blown coverages. Ellis Robinson, freshman corner. He's playing a lot this game.
I'll help your case real quick, Clint. To your point, Texas has not faced a top 70 offense yet this year. Mississippi State is the highest they faced at 71. So, you're right. We may not have played anybody offensively.
40, by the way, 40 could be on the board. I'm not saying it's not on the possibility for Texas to score. I'm just saying Carson Beck might score 45.
Brandon Olson, give me a prediction about your Gators. They host the Kentucky Wildcats this weekend.
That they're going to make me sad at some point.
Okay, so just another week this season.
My team is so bad right now that you said, oh, grab your favorite beverage. I don't know why I'm driving this, and I was going to make a Georgia joke, and then I was like, let me not, because that's just going to be really bad in a couple of weeks at that point. Florida's on a 3-game losing streak to Kentucky. Could go to 4. I don't think it will, but they're going to upset me at some point.
I think it will. Who thinks it will? Quick raise of hands. Yep.
I don't know. They've been playing inspired football. I feel like, they did lose to Tennessee, but they have been playing, somewhat inspired football.
Number 8 on the road in overtime. Players are playing great. If only their coach didn't suck.
Yeah, no, moral victories in Gainesville. I'm happy for you, man. I'm happy for you. Corey Burton of Locked On Vandy. Yeah. Maybe the most exciting team in the SEC, Ball State. Man, let's keep those wins coming in, Corey.
Yeah, looking to get 5-2, keep everybody healthy, and let's welcome those Longhorns to Nashville the following week. Maybe.
Whoa! Don't overlook Ball State. One game at a time, Corey. One game at a time.
Yeah. Jonathan, before you hopped on, I asked Corey, who does Vandy have this week? And he's like, Ball State, a nice tune-up before we play Texas. I'm like, whoa, Vandy, whoa now. John Miller, host of Locked On Mizzou. Obviously, our 2 teams play each other this weekend. Give me a prediction about your Tigers.
Well, so far defensively, the Tigers, especially against SEC competition, have hardly gotten a takeaway at this point. So they're playing Auburn
Seems like something's got to give there to me. I kind of think this game's going to be a shootout, honestly. That's what I'm feeling. I'm thinking a lot of points on both sides. Not 100%. I'm probably going to lean towards the Tigers simply because I'm incredibly biased. But truly, I don't know what to make
Just
of
for
this
clarification,
game. I really don't.
which Tigers?
Yes, the Missouri Tigers.
The ones that has the one
distinction.
mascot, not the 3 mascotted tiger.
There we go.
The ones that win football games.
Yeah. Sadly, right now, that is not us.
Against Mighty Vanderbilt, by the way. Never a doubt in that one, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. The over-under on that one is 51.5. I agree with you. Shootout. I am taking the over on that. All right, where are we with Alabama at Rocky Top? Because I just don't know what to think about this Alabama team. And if I say anything negative, people are going to say it's because I'm an Auburn guy. So somebody else do it, because I clearly can't do it.
I'll jump on. I'm the Georgia guy, and they're going to give me flack for just the same thing. Tennessee is a trick offense. It just turns out that Alabama has a horrible defense that if you give them the opportunity, Alabama's going to get exposed in this trick offense. Tennessee, when they play competent defenses, gets absolutely shown out. Josh Heupel does not have the offense to go toe-to-toe with anybody. He goes toe-to-toe with those who blow assignments, and this just in. I've just described Alabama's defense. So I think Alabama gets run out of the building.
Yeah. Corey, what do you think? I mean, you cover a team that beat Alabama.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of right there with Clint. I mean, their defense, their corners are spinning like tops out there, just not knowing where everything's going. Their offense is not clicking right now, and their overall culture is just bad. So I don't know. And then you look at Tennessee though. Nico is just struggling. I'm not real sure what's going on there. He can't execute the offense, seems like, against legitimate defenses. So who knows? Something's got to give there too. You got a quarterback that can't read coverages, and you got a defense that can't cover. Where do you go?
Yeah, that's a tough one. Don't really know. Don't really have the answer. I just want to know, how did we identify the culture problem? How do we identify the culture problem?
I could identify the culture problem.
It was Kalen DeBoer's T-shirt. That's how we identified it.
They bullied that man into wearing a collared shirt, by the way.
They're in a spiral right now. They don't know how to handle this.
Is it because he looked like the happiest man on earth after surviving against South Carolina?
Excellence is no longer the measure in Tuscaloosa.
We got our Tennessee guy, Eric Kane. We're talking about Bama, Tennessee. How confident are you going into this one?
I think they can win, but I mean, Brandon's laughing. I mean, everybody's seen this offense the last 2 weeks. Where's it gone, right? I think Tennessee can win. I think Tennessee can win at home, but the offense is going to have to score, at least 27, 28 points, which really shouldn't be that big of a deal for a Josh Heupel offense, right? I mean, you got a defense. You actually have a defense this year, so if the offense can show up and do just a little bit more, I've got confidence in Tennessee winning at home. I don't know if I'm going to pick them yet, but I've
Eric, I love that you showed up 10 minutes late.
Thank you.
And two, I love that the first thing you said is if Tennessee scores more points than Alabama, they'll win. I love that you said that.
What's the key to winning this game? Scoring more points.
Which is funny because, it's the MO was this offense, no defense, and it's completely flipped this year for Tennessee, so it's a little weird.
Yeah, very underrated defense.
At least it didn't flip as bad as Oklahoma did in the last couple of years from offense to defense.
Yeah,
so much shade.
Dramatic.
Yeah, Jonathan, you have to be having so much fun this season. I truly am jealous. It's
been a great couple of weeks, man. Hopefully, Clint and his boys don't ruin it on Saturday night. Hopefully, we can keep having fun.
Yeah, they got a shot to do it, no question. All right, I want to jump into LSU at Arkansas, because LSU now somehow quietly a top 10 team. I want to know if y'all are buying it. That's next on the SEC Squad. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel's America's #1 sports book. Hey, right now, when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more, all on the same page where you place your bets. And right now, you can bet $5 and you get $200 back in bonus bets, guaranteed. All you have to do is place that first $5 bet over at FanDuel.com. Several lines standing out to me. Auburn plus 5.5 on FanDuel. You've got that it's a push between Florida and Kentucky. That's a pick 'em. And Texas minus 3.5, I think that could be the play there. So check it all out. If you feel passionate about any game and anything, but specifically in the SEC, check it out over at FanDuel. That's at FanDuel.com. Thank you for making your favorite Locked On show your first listen every single day. Number 8 LSU at Arkansas. I'm not going to ask y'all who thinks Arkansas is going to win, but I do want to ask, and whoever wants to go first can. Is LSU legitimate? Is LSU a legitimate top 10 team right now?
They sure looked like it on Saturday against Ole Miss. But I just don't know yet. If they can string it together 2 weeks in a row, we'll see. Like they've been known to do a little bit of this.
I mean, they got to be a top 10 team right now. I mean, their one loss is to USC in week 1. I think they've pretty consistently gotten better for the most part. Garrett Nussmeier is a lot better than I thought he was coming into this season. So with that, I got to say, yeah, they're right on the cusp at the very least. They're certainly a legitimate contender for the playoff.
Is anybody not a believer in LSU at this point?
I'm a believer. I think this is an LSU team that, really on any given Saturday could beat anybody in the SEC. I'm not sure, what the high end is for LSU. I'm not sure that they're a championship contender, even an SEC championship contender. But I think any given Saturday, they could beat any team on their schedule. This LSU team is playing great ball. And that USC, game is really starting to look like a bad loss. I mean, if they took care of business, they'd be undefeated right now. We're probably having a completely different conversation about LSU. But, like John said, they've consistently gotten better. And I definitely would not want to play LSU at this point. Thankfully, Texas got a cake schedule, and we don't play LSU or any of the other good teams in the SEC outside of Georgia. But I wouldn't want to see LSU right
down to Baton Rouge, so that's
how dare you?
I mean, you're right. Look at the SEC this year, right? I mean, Texas is by and large out in front. Nobody's close. Georgia, in my opinion, is the second best team, but Georgia's shown that Georgia likes to kind of play with its food a little bit here of late. Tennessee's offense in there. Alabama's been all over the map. LSU, I mean, you lost in week 1, gave up 21 to Nichols in week 2, but here lately, I mean, you're playing some good football, and I think the way the SEC is this year, absolutely, they're a team I wouldn't want to play right now.
What does this say about Ole Miss now? Does anybody want to take a shot at Ole Miss at this point?
I said it last week.
Searching for
this is what Lane Kiffin
agents.
does. This is what Ole Miss does. Every time that you think Ole Miss is going to take a step forward, every time you think Lane Kiffin is going to take a step forward, this is what happens. This is what happens. We look up and they have a loss to Kentucky and a loss to LSU already when people were crowning them as championship contenders. This is just what happens to Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin. Really, none of us should be surprised that they have 2 losses already, and they're not going to end the season with 2 losses. They might lose 1 or 2 more.
They're out of the playoffs right now. They are not a playoff team right now. They're not a season. They're done. They're toast. Lane Kiffin is looking for his next job because Ole Miss has hit the plateau of the highest point that they could get to. They can't go beyond this. Top 10. That's it. That's all Lane has at Ole Miss because you saw the transfer portal winner, right? A couple of those guys were out and you saw the lack of depth and they couldn't perform up to standard after that. Lane Kiffin can't build a program unless he has a whole lot of other resources with him. He can call X's and O's on offense all day long. Can't build a program without the resources. Ole Miss don't have it. He's on to greener pastures. I don't know
which is why I think he goes to the NFL and he does not go to Florida.
Yeah, no,
I disagree with the NFL vehemently because not even a Florida thing. Not even a Florida thing. I just don't think that his offense works nearly as well in the NFL, where he exploits so much of that delayed RPO kind of stuff. And in the NFL, you can only go 1 yard downfield as an offensive lineman. And I think it really changes a lot of his game, and you can't abuse splits as much. I don't think the NFL will be a good fit for Lane.
Yeah, I think that's a great take because if you look historically, think about Steve Spurrier, think about Chip Kelly, the guys who come from college who are thought of as the X's and O's masters rarely work out in the NFL.
Yeah, Lane has already tried with the Raiders. Maybe he tries again. I don't know.
Like he's a new, renewed Lane Kiffin.
Maybe the Jets take a shot on him, or maybe.
Oh, as a Patriots fan, please.
Or the Patriots.
I don't see any world in which Aaron Rodgers and Lane Kiffin can coexist. Like that just sounds like a disaster.
But I want to watch it.
I'm here for that movie, though.
All right, Luke Robinson, host of Locked On Bama, is joining us. Last segment, Luke. Several folks commented at the culture. The culture at Bama isn't what it used to be. Your thoughts?
I mean, I think we got to wait a little more time for that, right? The culture is going to change, obviously. I mean, you go from the greatest coach of all time to a guy who's really, really good, but he's not him. And he is a little more laid back. He's just a little different. He smiles after games. Nick Saban didn't smile after anything ever for any reason.
Are you allowed to smile in Tuscaloosa? Is that a thing that's allowed?
Is what
smiling in Tuscaloosa? Is
yeah,
that a thing
sure.
that people
It's allowed
do?
by fans, by us. We also, I mean, we can smile a little bit while we're sarcastically laughing at our coach's T-shirt that's ill-fitting.
There it is.
Yeah, we can do that.
The real truth comes out.
No, you lose games, and people have issues with what you were on the sideline. People have issues with you're not playing good football on offense. People will comment on what you wear in the ball walk. I mean, that's
we made
fandom,
a TikTok of like the Locked On account made a TikTok of Luke doing a rant after the game, not about how Bama lost, but about the T-shirt, and it got like 1 million views. It's like the most viral
Like literally
thing we've posted
1 million.
this month. It's insane. It's insane. The T-shirt thing is polarizing for sure.
So, Luke, what's a bigger problem in Tuscaloosa, the perceived culture problem or the defense?
Well, I'll tell you something. First of all, I mean, the culture problem thing, I just don't think that's as big a deal. I mean, really don't. I feel like the culture is pretty fine. I mean, now, like, if they start losing and if they lose 4 games this year, I might change my mind. But we're only 6 games in, and he's 5-1. Let's see how this goes a little bit more.
Will they beat Tennessee? They're going to beat Tennessee on Saturday?
I mean, I'm not super optimistic, but I doubt Eric Kane and the Vols are super optimistic either.
I literally just said I said the same thing last segment. I was like, I think they can, but I don't know.
Sounds like y'all are picking each other to win.
Eric's not fun to record with because he's always just like, I don't know.
Professional, yeah, you should try it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We suck.
I don't think Eric has ever actually picked Tennessee in a football game. Eric, have you ever picked Tennessee to win anything?
I picked Tennessee every game this year. Yeah.
Okay.
Jimmy and I both said on the podcast we cut a little bit ago for tomorrow, we said, okay, what's wrong with Tennessee? And he was like, I don't know. What's wrong with Alabama? And I said, well, I'm going to have Eric Kane on. And I said, well, probably I'll just sit there and ask the question, then sit in silence for 30 minutes because it's hard to say what exactly is wrong. Because I think also the part of the problem with Alabama, and I know that some stats may tell a different story, but I believe this, that the offense, if you're going to be a quick strike offense, right, you got to be the quick and the strike. You can't just be the quick and then not strike because the defense comes right back out there. And then all of a sudden they get a little tired, especially when you play a team like Vanderbilt. You know, hey, kudos to Vanderbilt. They had a great game plan and they just nickel and dime you to death for a little bit. They eventually take a deep shot. But, when you do that, and the offense isn't matching with points and isn't helping you by staying on the field a little bit more to let you catch your breath, you end up with a time of possession deficiency like 42-18.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, most 3-and-outs in the SEC is Alabama, by the way. And defensively, they're right there dead last, too, at least in SEC-only games. Pretty bizarre.
I'm also
and those things go hand in hand.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it just seemed so. Luke, it just seemed like after the second half from the second half of that Georgia game, all the way up until this point, it seems like that offense has just kind of sputtered and gone lifeless, and that defense is still trying to figure out what's going on. And it just kind of shifted all of a sudden from them being unstoppable to now it's like, okay, we got to tinker with some things.
I'm not sure there's a culture problem as much as there is a confidence problem, because the first drive against South Kakalaka, they run down the field, just tear it up, score pretty easily, stop South Carolina, get the ball back. They get a penalty that keeps the drive alive, and they have Ryan Williams wide open for a touchdown, and Jalen Milroe, who's a very accurate deep ball thrower, just missed him. I mean, missed him by about 3 feet. Should have been a touchdown, 14-0, and that probably changes the whole plan of the game, right? I mean, now South Carolina's down 14-0 in the first quarter, and it's like, oh my God, here we go. But instead, he missed him. It was a 3rd and 9, I think it was. And so Alabama has to punt it back. And all of a sudden the offense is like, man, we just can't seem to get it together now. What's going on? And it feels like that's how you're right. It's been that way since the second half of the Georgia game.
Yep. All right, there's a few tricky games in the SEC. We're going to jump into those as well as pick the biggest games happening this weekend. That's next, right here on the SEC Squad. Today's show is brought to you by Hims. Hims is changing men's healthcare by providing you with access to affordable sexual health treatments from the comfort of your couch. Hims provides access to a range of doctor-trusted treatments like chewable hard mints, And it's the same active ingredient that's in Viagra and Cialis. The process is 100% online. And there's no need for uncomfortable doctor visits. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/lockedon. That's HIMS.com/lockedon for your personal ED treatment options. hims.com/lockedon. The products mentioned are chewable compounded products, which are not approved by or verified for safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Prices vary based on product and subscription plan. Thank you so much for making us your first listen every single day. For your second listen, be sure to check out your favorite team's Locked On show. I'm going to go through a few of the games that maybe have a closer line or maybe aren't ranked, but are a little interesting here. Let's start with, we haven't talked about Texas A&M and Mississippi State. What are we doing with Texas A&M? Are we buying them to be a potential playoff team here?
100%. Absolutely buying them.
Right now, yeah.
Actually, if they continue to do this, they have Texas out on the schedule. LSU mentioned before, they get that Texas game and they have a chance to beat them. They're at home. I think A&M has a very good shot of making the playoff. I'm buying A&M right now.
Yeah. They've settled in quite nicely with Mike Elko, and I think they found a groove.
Is
I don't know if I'm
selling
buying
it?
the playoffs or the SEC championship, but I'm buying them against Mississippi State. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I got enough money to buy them against Mississippi State. That's about it.
That's what I'm at.
Is anybody selling them? Is like, I think we're a little too early to say they're a playoff team. Anybody
Now,
selling
if
them?
you think the hype on
That
them is
defense
bad
is
now,
legit. They're going to be in every game. That defense is legit for sure.
Solid.
you wait for 2 weeks. If you think the hype on them is bad now, they'll beat Mississippi State this weekend like they should, because Mississippi State's, just a walk-in L. But the next week they play LSU at home, and I feel like they will probably beat LSU at Texas A&M, and then all of a sudden I think, man, the world's going to be on that bandwagon.
Yep.
Yeah, I think you're right. Let's look at Kentucky at Florida. The line is even
Let's look at it
right now, according to FanDuel. What happens in this one? Are there any ramifications of this, Brandon? You lead the way on this.
No, I mean, this is one of those games where it's tough for me and I've said this every.
Is it going to be 3 in a row, Brandon? Are they going to make it 3 in a row?
It's already 3 in a row.
Joke's on you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
I guess.
an idiot now, okay?
Stupid.
Is it going to be 3 in a row for Billy? I don't know. I am more confident in this defense this year than I was last year. I think that, the UCF game, I thought UCF just played poorly, but that Tennessee game, they defended the run pretty well for most of the game.
Yeah.
Of course, they boxed the Mickey Mouse offense that Josh Heupel has, because for some reason Florida does that every single year against.
It's been like that for 2 weeks, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. They show up there. However,
Yes.
nothing in recent history has told me that Florida will win this game. So for the time being,
You're also going from a guy that was running like the offense at a PhD level to a guy that the ceiling's way higher. Don't get me wrong, DJ Lagway, but you really got to simplify some things for the true freshman right now, who's
true freshman QB, freshman running back with Montreal Johnson hurt as well.
Yeah.
So really young in the backfield. Interested to see how that one works out. And team's been pretty banged up. Like, you look at the injury report every week for Florida and whoever they're playing, and Florida's list is about 2.5 times longer than anybody else's.
Right. All right. We haven't talked about this one yet. Jonathan Davis, you can lead the way with this. South Carolina at Oklahoma. What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, South Carolina looked really good against Alabama, and if Lenore Sellers didn't, throw a 5-yard pass into the stands, they might have taken that game to overtime and anything could have happened. I mean, look, I know Texas made Oklahoma look like a junior varsity team, but I think they can still get the win against South Carolina. It's going to be a tough game. I believe it's at Oklahoma. I love to punch on those boys in Norman for sure, but I think they bounce back. I think Michael Hawkins plays a little bit better. I think that defense plays some inspired football. I think they respond to losing to their biggest rival the way that they did. I think they find a way to beat South Carolina, but I think it'll be a very close game until the end, and both teams have a chance to win. But just like that Auburn game, I think Oklahoma has finds a way to pull it out. Sorry, Zach.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Hey, speaking of Auburn, I think they get their first win in SEC play against Missouri on the road this weekend. John Miller, your thoughts?
Boy, I really hope you're wrong. That's my first thought, because if that happens, Missouri's fans are going to feel like their season is basically over. But I don't know if that's fair or not. But yeah, this is an enormous game for Missouri. I think it means a lot more for Missouri. But I'm a little nervous with Auburn coming off a bye week here for sure.
Why is the line dropping? It went from
I don't know. I think just lack of belief in Missouri. I think the last thing that most people saw was Texas A&M just working Missouri. So I think that's still in the back of people's minds.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and y'all are going to roll your eyes at this, but I don't think Auburn's inherently bad. They just can't close. And if they can figure out how to actually close a game, like I think they're totally capable.
No,
they're totally
when Auburn came and played Georgia, we said the same thing. There's talented players on Auburn's team. That's not a lack of talent at all with whatsoever. Right. It's a lack of coach actually instructing his players on what to do. That's a massive problem. But outside of that, just get on the field and go play. And I think Mizzou actually has some of this too. You saw Luther Burton get a little agitated at times in previous games, and you're seeing that kind of catch up. I'm on the same side. I think Auburn catches the W here and gets a win in SEC. Absolutely. There's talent on that side coming off a bye, getting what they're doing. I will take it as well.
Anybody else want to jump on? Anybody else?
No.
Come on.
I mean,
come on. Come on.
Peyton Thorne can run. So I mean,
picking Auburn, Corey?
I think so.
Let's go.
The thing is, the Missouri defense hasn't forced a lot of turnovers this season, but the Missouri offense has taken care of the ball. Yeah. If Auburn's going to give it the ball away, it's going to be hard to win a close game.
Don't you worry. They will get a turnover on Saturday.
Peyton Thorne's the gift that keeps on giving.
Gosh, goodness gracious. All right, let's pick some of these big ones. Okay, so Alabama at Tennessee. Who's taking Alabama? Show of hands.
I'll take
Alabama. Four?
I'll take that.
5. I'm going to count myself, too. So 5 of the 8?
We might be overrating Alabama's downfall a little bit. I think Alabama takes care of business against Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean, I think Alabama's a good football team, no doubt.
I think one of the things with that was that everybody kept talking about, how Alabama gives up these big plays, and Tennessee's been unable to find those consistently in the passing game. And that's where more so where I look at it.
All right, Georgia. Yep.
I was going to say, if Alabama can find that first half confidence they had against Georgia on the road at Tennessee, they should.
I'm honestly baffled why the outside run with Milroe is not in every single first down run at Alabama. That is the most shocking. It can't fail. I just don't understand it.
Yeah, nobody stopped it yet, for sure. All right, Georgia at Texas. Who's taken the Longhorns, the number 1 team in college football? All right, so we're split.
Clint, you're not taking Texas?
No, like I said, if you want to go shootout, I think Carson Beck and Mike Bobo says, let's freaking roll all day long. I have no problem. If you want to score points, by the way, take the over in this game. Take the over.
I'm not taking either.
I think this is Georgia, Alabama part 2 for sure. I think this goes over 65, 70 points.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's guaranteed for Georgia, but I think there's a good chance because it is going to be high scoring.
Yeah. Anybody want to call it
quarterback yet, right?
No, I mean, unless you. Well, I know Michael Van Buren looked like Michael Vick. You know what I mean? Throwing the ball at least against Clinton. In the Georgia Bulldogs. So I don't know. But no, I said this earlier. We haven't faced a top 70 offense yet. Mississippi State is 71. So yeah, it'll be a tough game for sure.
Anybody want to call an upset other than the Auburn Tigers over Missouri? Anybody else want to call a specific upset?
Florida over Kentucky, I guess, even though the line is, even.
It's even, but it feels like it would be an upset.
That's where I'm going. Florida over Kentucky.
I'm going to call Florida on that, yeah.
I
have a weird feeling. I have a weird feeling that Arkansas is going to upset LSU this week. So that's the one I'm
John
really
says
looking
Auburn's
at.
beating Missouri. Yeah, I hear you, John. I agree with you there.
Did not say that. Nope.
Okay.
I had Arkansas over LSU, in fact.
I like that Arkansas pick. I do. I swear. I feel like LSU's coming in off a monster high off that game, and Nussmeier
on the road too, right?
If Arkansas wins that game, we might even get a smile out of John Neighbors. That's how big it would be for the Hogs.
I think doesn't Texas have to go to Arkansas too?
Yeah, we do. But and I'll say this, even though I picked Oklahoma to beat South Carolina, I'm sticking with that. The way that pass rush looked against Alabama, I mean that's just really the great equalizer. If they can get after a true freshman quarterback and Michael Hawkins like that, obviously Oklahoma doesn't have a great offensive line. That defensive line alone for South Carolina could win that game. So not sure what the line is, but that could be a potential upset, even though Oklahoma looks shaky.
2.5, and I'm taking South Carolina.
I'm with you on the South Kakalaki. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
I don't think their offensive line can hold up against Oklahoma's front.
I think it's going to be an ugly game, but I think Shane
might just be a battle of trash offensive lines. I don't know.
Yeah, he finds a way to score regardless.
You're probably right there, Jonathan. I mean, that's probably more spot on than the other.
40.5 total kind of tells you what you need to know.
Ooh. Yeah, no kidding. Jeez. No kidding. All right, for Clint Shamblin of Locked On Bulldogs, Jonathan Davis of Locked On Longhorns, Eric Kane of Locked On Vols, Luke Robinson of Locked On Bama, Corey Burton of Locked On Vandy, John Miller of Locked On Mizzou, and Brandon Olson of Locked On Gators. I'm Zach Blackerby of Locked On Auburn. Follow and subscribe to your favorite conference. Of course, that is Locked On SEC. We'll be covering your favorite team every day throughout the season here on the Squad Show and our individual shows as well. So be sure to subscribe. This is all part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.